Tengo en esta historia algo que confesar.
Tengo en esta historia algo que confesar. Algo que confesar.
Y aunque duela tanto, tengo que aceptar.
Y aunque duela tanto, tengo que aceptar. Aunque means even though or although. It's used to express a contrast or contradiction between two statements. For example, you might say, aunque estoy cansado, voy a seguir trabajando, which means even though I'm tired, I'm going to keep working. In the given line, y aunque duela tanto, tengo que aceptar, it translates to, and even though it hurts so much, I have to accept. Aunque can be used in both formal and informal situations, but if you want to transmit the same message in a much more formal tone, you could say, a pesar de que. For example, a pesar de que me duele, lo tengo que aceptar, which means even though it hurts, I have to accept it. Or you could use the expression si bien, as in, si bien me duele, tengo que aceptarlo, meaning although it hurts, I have to accept it.
Que tú no eres la mala, que el malo soy yo.
Que tú no eres la mala, que tú no eres la mala, que el malo soy yo, que el malo soy yo. Que tú here translates to that you in English. When used at the beginning of a sentence, it's used to express a statement or opinion about someone or something. For example, que tú eres inteligente means that you are intelligent. However, in English, we would more commonly say you are intelligent, dropping the that at the beginning. In the context of the line, que tú no eres la mala, que el malo soy yo, it translates to that you are not the bad one, that I am the bad one. Again, in English, we would more commonly say, you are not the bad one, I am the bad one. Another example could be, que tú eres la mejor, which means you are the best. Be careful because que can also mean than, so the expression que tú could also mean than you when used in the middle or end of a sentence. For example, es más guapo que tú, which means he's more handsome than you. In order to distinguish the two, just think if the expression is a statement about something or a comparison between two elements.
No me conociste nunca de verdad.
No me conociste nunca de verdad. No me conociste nunca de verdad. De verdad translates to really or truly in English. It's used to emphasize the sincerity or seriousness of a statement. For example, you might hear someone say, ¿De verdad te gusta?, which means, do you really like it? In the given line, no me conociste nunca de verdad translates to, you never really knew me. De verdad is very commonly used on its own as a question to ask if something is true or to confirm that a statement is correct. For example, nos vamos a casar. ¿De verdad? Which means we're getting married. Really?
Ya se fue la magia que te enamoró.
Ya se fue la magia que te enamoró. Que te enamoró. Ya se fue translates to it's already gone or it has already left, because in this case it's referring to a thing, la magia or the magic. However, if you say ya se fue and you're referring to someone leaving, the correct translation would be he or she already left, or he or she is already gone. Ya se fue is a phrase that is often used to express that something or someone has already departed or disappeared. For example, you might say, ya se fue el autobús, which means the bus has already left. When you're specifically talking about people leaving, you could also use the verb marcharse, which also means to leave. For example, ya se han marchado los abuelos, which means grandma and grandpa already left. Ya is one of the most used words in Spanish because of its many meanings, and the best way to understand a word is to hear it being used in different contexts. So let's watch some examples.
Que ahora ya sé lo que es
If we click on ya on these interactive subtitles, we'll see that in this context, the ya means already or yet, which is exactly what it means when Demi says it. In this next clip, however, if we click on ya in this video, we can see that here, ya means anymore. Let's watch another example so the meaning sticks in your head.
Ya no te siento aquí, no te siento ya.
If you're wondering about this handy tool, it's FluentU, an app for learning Spanish with authentic videos, including movie scenes, clips from TV shows, TED Talks, and music videos. FluentU has thousands of videos, all of which have subtitles written by language experts, so you always see the correct definition for words and expressions in that specific context, plus video examples of native speakers using the vocab. FluentU also creates personalized quizzes and speaking questions to make sure you remember everything you learn. Try it now for free. Just sign up for a 2-week trial using the link in the description below. Plus, FluentU is currently having a sale, so it's a perfect time to check it out.
Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar.
Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar. Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar. Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar. Estar en tu lugar. Estar en tu lugar literally translates to be in your place, and it can also figuratively mean to be in your shoes. It's very often used to express empathy or to imagine oneself in another person's situation. For example, you might hear someone say, "No me gustaría estar en tu lugar," which means I wouldn't like to be in your shoes. Another example could be, "Si yo estuviera en tu lugar, haría lo mismo," which means if I were in your place, I would do the same.
Porque tu error solo fue conocerme.
Porque tu error solo fue conocerme. Porque tu error solo fue conocerme. Porque tu error solo fue conocerme. Conocerme. Solo in Spanish means only or just when used as an adjective. It's used to limit or restrict the scope of something. In the context of the sentence, porque tu error solo fue conocerme, solo is used to emphasize that the only mistake Fonsi made was meeting Demi. Here's another example. Solo quiero un café, which means I only want a coffee. However, it's important to keep in mind that solo can also be used as an adverb, in which case it means alone. For example, me dejaron solo en casa, which means I was left home alone.
No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo.
No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo, soy yo. No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú. No eres tú, soy yo. No eres tú, soy yo. Soy yo, soy yo. No eres tú translates to it's not you in English. It's often used when someone is trying to take the blame or responsibility for a situation. The full phrase no eres tú, soy yo is a classic breakup phrase meaning it's not you, it's me. In Spanish, the verb ser is used here to indicate identity. So eres means you are. The no before it negates the statement, so no eres tú means it's not you. No eres tú es nuestro PDF gratis. It gives you easy access to all the vocab that we have learned today, so you can study it whenever. Get it by clicking on the link in the description below. No te quiero hacer sufrir. No te quiero hacer sufrir. No te quiero. No te quiero. Hacer sufrir. Hacer sufrir. No te quiero here translates to I don't want to. In this kind of context, it's a phrase often used to express a lack of desire to do something, in this case, something that might cause harm or discomfort to someone else. In Spanish, the pronoun te is used to refer to you in an informal context. So, no te quiero hacer sufrir means I don't want to make you suffer. The use of the informal tú as opposed to the formal usted shows a comfortable relationship between the two singers. Another example could be no te quiero molestar, which means I don't want to bother you. The verb querer can mean different things and can convey varying degrees of intensity, so the expression no te quiero by itself can also actually mean I don't love you, which is why it's always important to read the whole sentence before reaching any conclusions. Es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así, así. Es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así, así. Es mejor olvidar. Es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así, y dejarlo así, así, así. Dejarlo así translates to leave it like this, let it be, leave it as is, or simply leave it. It's often used when someone decides not to change a situation or to stop discussing a problematic topic. For example, if two friends were arguing over a trivial matter, one might say, vamos a dejarlo así, which means let's leave it at that or let's drop it. This phrase can also be used in the negative to convey a refusal to conform and leave things as they are. For example, no quiero dejarlo así, which means I don't want to leave things like this. Échame la culpa is a Spanish phrase that translates to blame me or put the blame on me in English. Échame comes from the verb echar, which means to toss, while la culpa means the blame. So this expression literally means toss me the blame. The verb echar is also used to mean to miss, as in te echo de menos, meaning I miss you. Échame la culpa is often used when someone wants to take responsibility for a situation or problem. It's a colloquial expression, so you're more likely to hear it in casual conversation rather than in more formal settings. For example, if a friend, let's say, is worried about being late for a meeting because of a delay, you might say, échame la culpa a mí si llegamos tarde, which means blame me if we're late, which is a very good friend thing to say.
Solamente te falta un beso.
Solamente te falta un beso. Solamente te falta un beso. Solamente, solamente te falta un beso. Un beso. Solamente translates to only in English. It's used to emphasize that nothing else is needed or present. In Spanish, solamente can be used interchangeably with solo. For example, you could say, solo me voy a quedar una hora, or solamente me voy a quedar una hora. And both sentences would mean, I'm only going to stay for an hour. However, solamente could be considered a little bit more formal and is used often in written language, while solo is more common in spoken language. For example, you could say, solamente necesito un favor, which means I only need a favor. Keep in mind that, as we said before, solo can also be used as an adjective to mean alone, in which case it cannot be exchanged for solamente. Solamente te falta suscribirte al canal. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, like Learn Spanish with Disney songs, Bajo el Mar. Sebastián shows the Little Mermaid the wonders of the sea.
Solamente te falta un beso.
Te falta translates to you lack or you're missing. It's often used to point out something that someone needs or doesn't have. Te is a personal pronoun for tú, while falta comes from the verb faltar, which means to miss, as in something is missing. For example, if someone is almost ready to go, but they haven't put on their shoes yet, you might say, te faltan los zapatos, which means you're missing your shoes, and coincidentally, is also one of my recurring nightmares. In the context of the line, solamente te falta un beso, it means you're just missing a kiss. Spanish speakers commonly use the phrase te falta when they want to point out what someone is missing. For example, te faltan 5 céntimos, which means you're missing 5 cents. While te falta can be used both formally and informally, it's also part of a very colloquial expression, te falta calle, which roughly translates to you're missing street smarts.
Ese beso que siempre te prometí.
Ese beso que siempre te prometí. Ese beso que siempre te prometí. Ese beso que siempre te prometí. Te prometí. Siempre translates to always or forever in English. Siempre is used to express something that happens all the time, or, like in this case, something which is a constant truth. For example, siempre te amaré, which means I will always love you. In the context of the line, ese beso que siempre te prometí, it translates to that kiss that I always promised you. Another example could be siempre llego tarde, which means I always arrive late.
Tengo en esa historia algo que confesar. Ya entendí muy bien qué fue lo que pasó. Y aunque duela tanto tengo que aceptar que tú no eres la mala, que malo soy yo. No me conociste nunca de verdad. Y esa fue la magia que te enamoró. Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar, porque tu error solo fue conocerme. No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo. No te quiero hacer sufrir, es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. Échame la culpa. No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo. No te quiero hacer sufrir, es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. Échame la culpa.
I don't really wanna fight anymore. I don't really wanna fake it no more. Play me like the Beatles, baby, just let it be. So come and put the blame on me. I don't really wanna fight anymore. I don't really wanna fake it no more. Play me like the Beatles, baby, just let it be. So come and put the blame on me. No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo. No te quiero hacer sufrir, es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. Échame la culpa. No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo. No te quiero hacer sufrir, es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. Échame la culpa.
Solamente te falta un beso, solamente te falta un beso, ese beso que siempre te prometí. Échame la culpa, solamente te falta un beso, solamente te falta un beso, ese beso que siempre te prometí. Échame la culpa.
Okay. I don't really wanna fight anymore. I don't really wanna fake it no more. Let me like the Beatles, baby, just let it be. So come on, put the blame on me. Yeah.
I don't really wanna fight anymore. I don't really wanna fake it no more. Make me like the Beatles, baby, just let it be. So come on, put the blame on me. No eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo. No te quiero hacer sufrir, es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. Échame la culpa.
Next up, Bad Bunny and Rosalía sing about an unforgettable night together that ended up in disaster. So go watch that La Noche de Anoche video to enjoy more great Spanish lyrics as you learn more conversational Spanish.